Leper! Leper! I have to yell that out now wherever I go. I've been exposed to COVID. So, wanted to make a video here of my homily today. I was really halfway through writing my homily yesterday when I got the news that I needed to go get tested. So I was not going to waste this perfectly good homily. Actually, I really like this idea. I've preached about it a little bit before, but I will preach about it again. And what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and read the gospel, and then I'm going to preach. Now, the problem is that I have editing capability, and I'm a perfectionist. And so I'm more than likely going to be cutting and splicing this all up. So if I see if I seem a little jerky or whatever, it's because of the editing. Hopefully I won't go too crazy with this and that I could be here all night. So let's get into the gospel. This gospel is from Matthew 10:37 to 42. And so Jesus said to his apostles, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Whoever receives you receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. Whoever receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever receives a righteous man because he is a righteous man will receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives only a cup of water to one of these little ones to drink because the little one is a disciple, amen, I say to you, he will surely not lose his reward." The gospel of the Lord. What is the first commandment for a Christian? What is the first commandment? I would think that it's obvious. Although when my friend, he does weddings, he does wedding homilies, and he asks them, the couple, what is the first commandment? And surprisingly, they don't always name it. They will say, love your neighbor as yourself. That's the second greatest commandment. The first, though, is to love God with your whole heart, soul, mind, and being. Love God with everything you've got. And that's what Jesus is challenging us to do, because we often put other things or other people in front of God. Jesus says in the gospel today, whoever loves his mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. I think that, I see grown adults who are still doing the will of their father or mother. I would see people in the seminary who wanted to be a priest, and their mothers and their fathers didn't want them to be a priest, and they eventually left. And then I saw things on the reverse side where a mother or father is wanting their son or daughter to become a priest, and the son really doesn't want to become a priest. This happens both ways. It's not to do the will of our parents. That does coincide at times, but God's will is most important in our life. And I don't know how many times do I come across people that parents that tell me, like mothers especially, come up and say, I love my son more than anything else in the world. Well, that's great, but there's something greater that we're supposed to love in our life. Loving God first appears to be a radical idea in our world. We really don't see many people putting God first, do we? Including Christians. Most people worship some person, not God, or worse, some addiction. Why is that? What is happening? I think most of all what is happening is that people don't trust God. They still have this image of God from their childhood, that God is Santa Claus, that he only loves me when I'm good, that he's good cop, bad cop, the same thing. Or they vision God as a bloodthirsty God. Look what he did to his son. I have to admit that kept me away from God at arm's length. But I think about this, and in 12 steps, I've looked at 12 steps and studied it. It's such a powerful spirituality. And in 12 steps, one of the first things that they do is they challenge people to reprioritize their life, to put God first in their life. And because they've been putting other things first in their life, it has to be God. And so they use this term, higher power. And some people don't like that term. But what they're really doing there is they're trying to take the old language of God and allow people to open their minds further as to who God is, to let go of their childish vision of God, to see that God is not Santa Claus. He's not going to only love you when you're good and not bad. He loves you whether you're good or not. Always. Whether we put him first in our life or not, he's going to always love us so much. And he's not a bloodthirsty God in that. He did not want us to suffer, and did not want his son to suffer. But suffering is a part of life. And most people believe it's because our free will. And Jesus chose people. First, we got to remember, it wasn't the Father that killed Jesus. It was the people. And Jesus chose to die, to love, regardless of their action. He chose to do that because he wanted to show them and show us that he loves us no matter what. That we can kill God and he will still love us. It's not about Jesus pleasing an angry God, but showing us how much he loves us. It's only when we put God first, the creator of all things, the origin of love, the origin of all the things that we love. It's only when we put God first do we discover what the saints discover. We discover true peace, true love. We are finally at one with God and the universe. Which kind of brings me to the last thing that we have to love God more than. We have to love God more than even our spouse. The older couples probably know this already. The older couples that are wise. Marriage has a pattern, and it all plays into this. And you've heard me say it. The first phase is the honeymoon phase. The second phase is disillusionment. Then the third phase is misery. And then finally, reawakening. But what is that misery? That misery is that anger that this person that I hoped would be God is not God. And we're angry that they aren't. We've kept our hopes up that this person would be the perfect person. What is this? It's codependency, you know? And we have to be willing to put God first. Our deepest desire is God. What is the challenge? The challenge is to keep pushing, to keep putting God first, to keep working at that. We are naturally in our life going to be looking for something else, always searching for something else. And each time we fall, we need to remember, oh yeah, I need to put God first. That's what the problem is. We have to keep striving and working at that. And eventually, we will get there. And yes, there will be dark times. Yes, we will struggle. Love, I want to know ahead of time, loving in our life is a cross. But the joy and the peace that comes about finding our deepest desire far outweighs the grief.